Hi guys, Chris here with Super Savvy Travelers. Hey, I wanted to give you a little heads up. First of all, it's a gorgeous day here, so I'm outside. Forgive the strange shadows on my face, making me look a little bit like I have a rash or something. And anyway, I wanted to give you a heads up on why you need a really good real estate agent when you're purchasing properties in Italy. Now, if you are an expert on property purchases, if you know all about everything that can come up and all about the title issues and everything else, go ahead and jump in. But even then, I would really prefer to use an agent. Now, the first reason is because in Italy, a lot of the houses and properties are very old and they have been around since, really the 1700s. And sometimes there's not a clear line of succession. In some cases, you have squatters' rights, which we've talked about, usucapione, where somebody takes over an abandoned property and they improve it and they do all kinds of things to it and they use it overtly for a long time. According to Italian real estate law, then it becomes theirs. However, that doesn't exempt you from the possibility of somebody coming in and making a claim on the property. So that is something you really want to keep in mind. It makes sense sometimes to actually go ahead and purchase an usucapione property. But if you do, you need to know all of the risks and all of the benefits. You need to just basically analyze your risk on that whole thing and see if it's something that you can live with. It's a really good thing to study up on and understand. And in cases where you're buying an expensive property and it looks like it might be that, I would definitely get an attorney and have them advise you on it and really close up any loopholes that you might have. The second is that many times the line of succession is just not clear. We had one case where, and I think I've mentioned this before, I know I mentioned in my course, by the way, study our course and read my book. The details are below. Somebody was selling a property to one of our clients, and when we looked at the succession, basically they had a letter from an aunt that said, this property is now yours. That's not a deed. That's not an act. That's not title. It had to be fixed, and it took a long time, and it was quite complicated. We were able to do it, but it was something that you really needed to know about because, again, it might not make sense to do it after all the attorney's fees are paid, after all the checks are done, after you've paid the judge and everybody that you've had to pay in order to fix it. Was it worth it to actually get that property? In some cases it is, and you should definitely go ahead, but you need to know all about that stuff. And the agent will do preliminary checks on that. Now, another reason that you want a great agent is because you want a great notaio. And a really good agent usually has a really good notaio. Now, the notaio is so important. They do other checks. They look for mortgages. They look for liens that people might not have seen. They look for any sort of encumbrance on the property. Now, obviously, they don't go out and walk the property, but they look for anything in the records that would indicate that the seller doesn't have full rights to sell the property that he's trying to sell you. And that is very important because who knows? I mean, it could be that somebody's selling a house and the brother owns the other half and they don't tell you, so you need to know that. A good notaio will look for the lines of succession, and I love to see them in the act itself. When you sign the act, when you're actually going in and doing the signing of the deed, which is different than in America, you're signing the act. And in the act itself is the line of succession, which lets you know how much protection you have as far as how many deeds and how far back that goes. If it's a line of many acts going back many, many years, and these acts were done by a notaio and recorded and registered, that is a whole lot less risk than somebody who took it over in usucapione or who was given the property or something like that. So these are things you don't necessarily see. I've never seen this in California. I've never seen usucapione. I've never seen a letter to somebody going, here's the property, and that kind of thing. So these are things to keep in mind. And if you don't know about it and you get sucked in, you can lose a lot of money and you can be subjected to a lot of stress. Another reason to have a really good, competent, and ethical agent is because they will find out about certain aspects of the property. Now, the agent generally goes in and they are working for both sides. They're working for the seller and for the buyer. And if you get an unethical agent, or worse, somebody pretending to be an agent, and I will tell you, in Santa Dominica Talao right now, there are a few people up there pretending to be agents and illegally selling houses. So if you get one of those people, they're not going to tell you that there are moisture issues. They're not going to tell you that the roof needs to be redone. And all of these things have to be looked at. A good agent will look at an issue and go, you probably should have that assessed before we sell you the property, because who knows what it is. I've had agents tell me things like, oh yeah, all that water damage up there that's coming in through the thing, that's probably just a loose roof tile. Well, that was our first house, and the whole room was just covered with moisture damage. Turns out there was no roof tiles up there at all. It had been a terrace and it was leaking and had to be, redone, which we were going to redo it anyway, so it was not that big a deal, but it wasn't a loose roof tile. Guy didn't know what he was talking about. Another thing that I want to bring up is that Pete and I have a drone service, and if you want to see the roof to your property, you can hire us to drone it, and then we can show it to an architect or a geometra or whoever you want it shown to, so you get an idea of what the roof looks like and whether or not there's any issues that are easily visible from the drone that might need to be remedied. So that's another reason to have a really good and ethical agent. And another reason is that the agents that we work with have been around for a long time. We've worked with them, for example, Ivan De Luca, we've worked with him for 14 years now? 14 years. And we've done a lot of property transactions, and we refer our clients to him because he is fabulous. He's really, really good. Speaks fluent English. Lucia has been wonderful at FM Immobiliare. She has been fabulous. Giuseppe Professione, the Justicasa guys, all of these guys have been fabulous with our clients. They really take the time to make sure that the transaction goes smoothly, that there are no surprises, and that you understand everything. Now, I can't underline enough how important it is to educate yourself. You need to do yourself a favor and everybody working with you a favor and know how the process works. I've had people come in and get really wildly upset because this didn't happen or that didn't happen. You're like, well, that doesn't happen in Italy. It just doesn't. So you coming in and expecting that and getting wildly upset because it didn't happen is completely misplaced. So don't bring that on yourself. Save yourself the stress. Just get and study our course. It's very simple. It's very fun. I think you're really going to like it. Everybody's raved about it. I like to keep things simple because going complex just loses everybody. Those are the reasons that I see that you really need a good agent when you're purchasing a property in Italy, just like in California or anywhere else. You need to know everything that's going on. Now, of course, people, when they find out you're looking for a property, everybody pops up. Hey, I got a house. Hey, I got this. My cousin's got a this, and you got a that, and blah, blah, blah. And then somebody else says, well, I can work on your behalf. We saw a situation where somebody came over and found a property, and then the bartender at the local bar said, oh, I'll help you with the sale. And I don't know how it went because I was like, ooh, I don't want any part of that. He's a bartender. He's not an agent. Good Lord. So just beware. There are pitfalls, and when you're purchasing in Italy, it's very much buyer beware. Here in Italy, you don't have all the disclosures and all the things that you have in California that protect you as a buyer. In general, the act here is about 3 or 4 pages long, and I don't know if you bought a house in California recently, you get a phone book. They stopped issuing them in paper. Now you get it on a CD-ROM or something like that because it's just too many pages, and you're signing all of them. Here, it's like 4 pages, very straightforward, but again, it's buyer beware. So there you go, guys. Make sure you got a good agent. We have vetted ours. We love them. Our clients rave about them, and they're very knowledgeable. They know the area, and they are super fantastic. It's the same in Puglia. The agents we use in Puglia are fantastic as well. They will take great care of you. So if you're coming over to look for properties, let us know. We'll put you in touch with one of our stellar agents, and you guys can go from there. See ya.